Hello there and welcome to the new channel.
Here to help you see
The new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansala.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Argamid.
My name is Dante Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebostillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mapet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice one, dear.
Sir Al Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldons.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude.
Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
My name is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Healthline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and More.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. Sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC ignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC ignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the new channel. We're here to help you see the new you. My name is Mras, and welcome to Mental Shift. Well, good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 22. Tonight, my guest is, well, he's an award-winning intern, CHRO, Chief People Officer, CEO of HR, Talent and Systems Consulting, top-rated executive coach, board member, startup advisor, official member of the Forbes Coaches Council, as well as a contributor to Forbes and Entrepreneur magazines. Now, he has so many accolades. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to keep doing that because you really need to meet Yuri. He also is an author of What Millennials Really Want from Work and Life, and he's got 2 novels, but I'm really here wanting to speak to him about his newest book. Are you ready for him? Please welcome my friend, Yuri Kruman. Where are you, Yuri? There you are.
Hi, Michelle. It's so good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. How's New York? New York?
It's okay for now. It's not spring quite yet. We're waiting any day now.
Well, I wanted you on the show because, well, one, you're all over the place. You've just wrote this other article. I mean, you're everywhere. You're amazing. Okay. Okay. There. That's enough.
It takes two to tango. You're the same. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to talk about your book because I had the privilege of being able to read it before a lot got to read it and give some feedback on it. And I wanted to share more about the book because it just launched. It's official.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! And I believe that it's the book that we all needed when we went out, when our parents said, kick out of the nest, go. That's the book we needed. And so I wanted you on the show because I wanted people to realize that for those of us who were looking for a manual for life, Yuri wrote one.
Yeah, I had no choice, right? Because growing up, I didn't have one, and I had to improvise, being an immigrant and just trying to, figure it out when switching careers 6 times and moving about, 21 times in 30 years.
We're going to get into that. Don't worry.
We're going to get into it. You bet.
Yeah. But first, I want to show the image of your book because I want people to look it up.
I appreciate it.
Be Your Own Commander-in-Chief. Now, when he came up with that title, I was laughing because I'm like, looks kind of patriotic, but really it is. It's self-patriotism. It's self-taking care of yourself. And I love the image, and I want you to get that seared in your head and look for it because it is available right now. You can get it on Kindle right now. Be Your Own Commander-in-Chief. Go to Amazon. You can find it right now. And then we're going to go back to Yuri because I want to talk about him because he is an immigrant and his story is so amazing. Can you give us, where were you born? And give us a little bit of background on you because I know it. Nobody else does.
So first of all, just, maybe, hopefully nobody takes this seriously, just a joke. But I was joking with my publicist the other day. I'm like, if you want to pitch this as Russian interference in the election, be your own commander-in-chief. No, it's a joke. I promise. Please don't run with that. Don't pitch that. I was born in Moscow. Yes. I was born in Moscow, Russia. In 1983, when I was 9, we came to America. We settled in maybe not the most usual place for Russian immigrants in Kentucky, of all places. And quite frankly, I'm thrilled, having now lived a lot of my adult life in New York. I'm thrilled that I didn't grow up here as a kid. This place is rough.
I bet.
Yeah, in Kentucky, it's full of national parks. People never stab you in the front, only in the back. So, it's a great place to grow up. Southern gentility, if you will.
Okay. When you get to the book, you'll have to see that I write that he writes with so much witticism. He speaks with so much witticism. His book is full of it. So you're reading along and it's like serious. It's, wait a minute, that was a joke. And so that's what I loved about your book. I'm like, wait, that was a joke. He just sticks them in. He just sticks the jokes in. They stab you in the back and not the front. That kind of thing.
You have to joke. Otherwise, life is too somber and that's it. You're done.
Well, the other thing about you, you're an immigrant. You're Russian, but you're also now in New York, but you're Jewish. I mean, give us a little bit more of that because your timeline of what you've done in your lifetime. Remember, the show is called Mental Shift. You have had so many mental shifts that you have completely shifted and moved your life, everything about you. And I'd love to share a little bit more about that because it is so much a part of who you are, but what you put in the book with your information and all the knowledge that you put in, it's what you've gone through. And so if you could share a little bit more about that, that would be quite appreciated.
Sure. So first, I'm going to just give some background. Both my parents, my mom was a neuroscientist, my father was a physicist. So growing up, it was all about, very heavy scientific subjects, but also a lot of other disciplines. We talked a lot about, everything from linguistics to economics. Not so much politics in the Soviet Union, religion, philosophy. I think I was very, very, very lucky to grow up in a house with a massive number of books. I was reading from a very early age and all that stuff. Growing up, the key when you're Russian Jewish in the Soviet Union is you have, many fewer options than most other people, because you can only really do certain professions if you want to kind of make it. And what does it mean to make it in the Soviet Union? Nobody's getting rich there unless you're in politics, right? It's equal misery. That's kind of, what communism does in practice. But really, if you're Jewish back then, first of all, you're repressed on all levels of society, meaning you can't practice Judaism. Religion is illegal under communism, right? And Jews like my mom and my father and grandparents, they could not go to the same kinds of schools, for example. It was much, much, much harder for them to get into top faculties at, let's say, Moscow State University, or to do their PhDs, that kind of thing. So they went through hell, and they went through hell in subtle ways and in not so subtle ways. Because they're like, well, we can't accept you, and you know why? And they would do crazy things. They would give graduate level exams to people trying to enter undergrad. And imagine if you're a kid who's 17 or 18 years old and you're taking a graduate level exam, and just because you're Jewish, they know that by your last name, and they did these things on purpose. A lot of people don't realize this. It's kind of like a footnote in history. So my parents went through that. My mom had to finish her PhD kind of like, scratching her back like this, finding some back way to do it officially, unofficially. And my father, unfortunately, he never finished his PhD. So, we were very fortunate to move to America. But I grew up with, a lot of this kind of like, we suffered like hell, no question. My parents suffered a lot more than I did, grandparents even more so under Stalin. But the point is that, we have this narrative in Judaism, right, of leaving Egypt. And
yes,
if you're familiar with the Old Testament, of course, that's a very, very big theme, very big, heavy, and difficult theme. So Egypt is not just a physical location. The word for Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim, which means limitations. So when we're leaving Egypt every year during Passover, which is coming up next week, we're actually leaving our limitations behind. But when you see, okay, Jews wandered for 40 years in the desert, and like, come on, guys, it's not that long a walk to Israel, right? What's going on here? Right? The issue is that when you leave Egypt, you leave your limitations. The limitations don't always leave you. It's not a physical location. It's how you internalize being a slave, right? And slave doesn't mean that you have no freedom. In America, you go to the store, you have 100 different kinds of cereal. And one kind of slavery is to think, oh, choice. It's all about choice. I need choice. No, you don't actually need choice, because there's often nothing to choose from, even though you have 100 options.
Let's say they're just different colors, same thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? And when you look at the ingredients, it makes you want to, anyways. So for me, a really, really big mental shift among many. Again, for whatever reason, God chose me to be Mr. Mental Shift or what have you. So being an immigrant, going from near Moscow to Kentucky. If you can imagine the mental shift in that, massive cultural difference. I'm trying to kind of adapt myself from like, I'm a child of scientists to like most people have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. or like what my mom does, or, and it's just a totally different mindset. People are calmer, slower, and we're coming in with this kind of like, constant,
go.
Go, exactly.
Go, and an accent on to boot.
You know it. And we're like, the first few months we're walking to Kroger, right, in the winter, and people are driving by, they're like slowing down, like, who are those people? Like, what? So it takes a lot of just saying, you know what, it is what it is. We got a car when I think we were 3 months there. I kind of more or less called around, said, hey, can you bring the car? Had my mom sign the check. We had a car. I was 9 years old.
But to say you were a kid, you were doing this.
Yeah, but there was no choice, right? That's one of the reasons why I've had so many shifts, is because there was no choice. I had to adapt over and over and over. But professionally, I grew up always with this, like, I'm going to do science, I'm going to do medicine, because I'm checking all my mom's articles for, grammar and spelling and all that stuff. So I grew up with this, like, in the mother's milk, in my cereal, you name it. So that was like, that's what I'm doing, like, no question. Yeah. And then I get to college, and like, I'm doing pre-med, and I suck at it. Terrible at this stuff. I never was able to learn by stuffing something in one ear and then it comes out the other. And I vomited onto an exam and then, hope not to forget. I never could learn like that. I learn in layers. I'm a little bit slower, but I connect things.
But you never forget when you learn, so it's okay.
Exactly. So what I learned in college was, after doing, 2.5 years of just pure pre-med and being miserable, I was truly, truly miserable in that place. Then I started doing much more humanities classes. I started doing, Hispanic studies, the origins of Romance languages. I did a class on, 20th century Russian literature, where I was writing essays in Russian. German literature, I was doing anthropology. I love this stuff. Like, it just, that's my way of looking at the world. And really what I realized much later, because it's like, I have to do hard science. I have to do, math and science, because we didn't come here to, have me twiddle my thumbs and do some humanity related stuff, because nobody pays for that. Yeah. So it took me a while to realize the way I look at the world is really through two lenses. It's language and psychology. And my whole life, partly because I had no choice, I'm always, changing countries, changing careers, married someone from a different culture and language. I'm having to raise Americans, now 3 of them, thank God. Right. So it's like this constant evolution. At some point, it becomes much more than just adaptation. It becomes like, this is actually fascinating. I've actually always loved this stuff. And now it makes more sense, because I've done a lot of work on myself to really integrate the layers, understand how to draw maps. I was always a huge fan of maps. I had the whole, bookshelf behind me. I remember we lived in Baltimore while I was in college. The whole thing was stacked with National Geographics, and my whole room was full with all kinds of maps. I don't know, shipping routes. I don't know. There was all the different stars, like everything you can imagine. So in a way, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right. So I learned to become a map maker, and the maps would keep accumulating, and I would keep trying to make connections. And again, I kept coming back to the same thing, that language and psychology are the common theme. That is really the way, from what I've found, from what I've seen, and what I've practiced also with my clients as a coach and consultant, those two are the ways to behavioral change. It's not some kind of formula. It's not it's not some algorithm. It's actually very small things that you have to tweak in the way that you speak to yourself and to other people. That's the way that you start visualizing yourself differently, others differently, the way the world works differently, and you can start seeing results pretty quickly. But you need a map. Just like, how does this work? You need a roadmap. So where am I going, and what do I change and when? But the one thing that I found missing, the reason I wrote this book, aside from hopefully creating something worthwhile for my kids, for them to really have what I never had, and of course for a wider audience, not just for my kids, was really I wanted to make sense. I wanted to just make sense of things. Yeah. Like, how does the world work? how can I essentially provide not just a quick fix, not a listicle, not some kind of tips and tricks, a life philosophy. And it sounds very grand and ambitious, and I'm not in any way saying anything else. It is very grand and ambitious, and it is what it is. But what I found is missing in our modern existence is lack of philosophy. We have lots and lots of ancient wisdom, but most people scoff at it. They say, "Oh, what is this?" And it's not new. Every generation, every epoch, every civilization has this. I mean, if we look at Jewish history alone, everyone has kind of either been afraid to death of us, or tried to kill us, tried to get rid of us physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
So there's something, if nothing else, about the Jewish story of just surviving to millennia of attacks from pretty much every empire that tried to eliminate us, again, some spiritually, some physically. There's something in that. We kept our philosophy, our rituals, our observances, right? All, and plus the history. Most people think, oh, well, Judaism, like, that's history, right? You read the Old Testament and it's history. No, it's not. It is anything but history. In fact, if you really dig into how the Old Testament is structured, it jumps around all over the place. It's not actually in chronological order.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I found as I was making the journey from, let's say, a more math and science background to saying, you know what, I don't see the world that way. It's very helpful. It's a critical layer, right? You have to be able to understand the structure of things, but in order to appreciate the fine detail and kind of the connective tissue, right? You have to have something greater. You need a philosophy. From Judaism, I have a tremendous storehouse of ideas, thoughts, commentary, etc. But for me, it was also not enough because I'm coming from a more secular background, which is science, math, economics. What this book became really is, beyond a philosophy, personal behavioral economics.
Yes, that's what I want to get back to you with that, because we have to get to our commercial. We have to go to our commercial. But what I wanted you to get into is, I'm glad you did that, because the way you wrote this book is based off of how you studied people, the language, the psychology of people, and how you map them out. And then you made this book. So I'm glad you did that, because that's exactly where I was trying to get you to get to before we went to commercial. We are going to commercial. Stay there, Yuri, and we'll be right back right after this break. And we'll get into why and more of the book, Be Your Own Commander-in-Chief. See you in a little bit. My name is Michelle Mras, and this is Mental Shift. Welcome back to Mental Shift. My name is Mras, and I wanted to introduce that we are doing this huge Women Who Rock program starting next weekend. Can we put that image up? You need to be looking for this because it's big. Global Women Who Rule 2021. I keep saying Women Who Rock. 22 keynote speeches, 1 live stream summit, International Women's Month. We are all over the place. Filipino women from around the world. Please tune in on March 27th, Saturday at 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Philippine time. It will start actually in the United States on the 26th of March at 11 p.m. So that Friday. So hope you can go to the TNC page and click on the live link so you will have the reminder and you can get on and join us for that. And then the following TNC shows. There we are. The following TNC live streams are all in Philippine time, so please tune into U-Turn, TNC The Talk, Awesome Day, and The Home Buyer. Laugh and learn with the Puppet Stories on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Notable personalities and their stories on The Big Picture Mondays through Fridays at 7 p.m. Listen to This Generation on The Millennial Voice, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Learn together across borders on Foreign Affairs, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Human Resources and Management on HR Hotline, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at noon. The Journey Continues, Moving on Business, Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Well Home Brings a Well Life, Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Money and More, Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Philippines, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Please also check out the replays of Cyber Next. And welcome back. Where is my guest, Yuri?
Hey, here I am.
There you are. No, you just have such an amazing story. And, so many of us, we immigrate, but not to the extent that you went through. Because when you talk about your immigration, I think Russia, Jewish country, United States. I mean, it just blows my mind because I came from, non-city life in the Philippines, and moving to Nebraska was a huge change for me. To think that you went from where you went to where you came from and then read your book, Be Your Own Commander in Chief. It's such a, how can I say it? It was such an uplifting book because I saw as a young girl coming to America how much I could have learned from the book you just wrote.
Appreciate that.
I mean, because you broke it down to, even to health. People don't even talk about health, but in your book, you even talk about what to think about when you're putting things in your body, how to look about when you're looking for, where you're going to live and what you're going to do with it. You went so deep into how to make your life work. I was impressed that you got it into one book cover.
I'm glad you mentioned that. My editor was like, there's no way that I'm going to let this book balloon to, 850 pages. I was like, watch me. The whole point of this book is that it's horizontal integration. I don't want this to be 4 books because then you can say, oh, there's,
they'll never do it. Yeah.
No, it has to be in one book. It has to be on your coffee table. Maybe later we'll do one, for kids, a smaller one for adults. I don't know, but it has to be in one place. That's why I wrote this book.
Well, and it was a fast read. That was the other thing. Here I was going through and I was reading through and doing, okay, I knew what the topic was. And so I highlighted in my mind, okay, what do I want to go through next? I could have really used this. That's how you wrote it. You wrote it. It's almost like, it's going to sound crazy. Don't think I'm crazy. Almost like a cookbook for life.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Love it.
Yeah. It was like a cookbook.
I love cooking, by the way. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
But that's what was so exciting about it was because you made such complicated things not complicated. And that's why when I wrote the review, I said, you need to get this book for anyone in your life that you care about, that you want them to succeed, because they may not think about it now, but one day they're going to be sitting in the living room doing, I don't know what I'm going to do, flip through the book and do, oh, I didn't know that was an option.
Exactly. You put a finger on it. That's it. That's my goal here.
Yeah, good job. Well, now, and what I laughed about in the book is you can tell your background with your parents. Because you getting some real technical, you got into some real deep science.
Yep.
But it was necessary science that we don't normally talk about. And I have to ask you, because I'm sure your editor went nuts on that, but what was your thought process when you said, I need to put actual science of health and wellness in here, and the importance of moving your body, and your editor went, that's another book. I would love to get a peek. What went through your head on that?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get away from the scientific mindset entirely, and yeah, you have to provide citations, right? Why am I doing all this? Why would I bother if it's just, it's my opinion? My opinion is not worth much, right? I want to find the truth, whatever the truth is, whatever God will grant me to find. I want to make sure it's supported, not by my opinion, my thoughts, my bias, whatever, by whatever the latest science says. It may not be 100% accurate, but it's the best available evidence. And
it's backed up.
Exactly. So it's not just me and my grand whatever. It's based on something real.
Good job. I'm just saying, good job. Well, because I went through the book and you have all these citations, but you really went into the science behind life, and I can't explain it. And that's why I keep telling people, go look up the book. Can we put the image back up? Look up the book. Look up the book. Be your own commander-in-chief. And what does it say? The authoritative guide to creating a life of clarity, meaning, impact, and success in times of chaos. Does that not explain what life is right now? But it's always that way. That's the thing. Life is chaos. There is never calm. And if you think that you're waiting for some calmness to happen in the world, you're going to be waiting a long time, because it's not going to happen. It's just not how we're made. And so I love the title of the book, and I love what he does in the book. Please look it up, because you've got, I'm sure, graduating high schoolers in your life that you can hand this to, or a struggling millennial who doesn't know what they're doing right now. Go give it to them, because that's the other thing. You point out that millennials, we always, you can take the book cover down again. I'm sorry. We always talk about, millennials do this and millennials do that. No, you talk about the ingenuity of millennials and how we need to work with them. And actually, you just did an article. About workplace and efficiency. And where did you write that article? My brain just stopped.
The one that came out today in CEO World, that one? Yeah, actually, so it's a great segue into what that's about. So what I talk about in the article is actually something that is based on this book. What is this book? It's not just like, here is a collected, smorgasbord of stuff. It's actually, I'm a head of HR for companies, right? So I have to think about how to empower employees to live their best life, not just to do their best work, right? And the two are connected closely. So for me, what I'm thinking about is not just like, let's train them on these 3 subjects, time management, taking ownership, and running effective meetings. There's so much more that there is to life, and I can't sit behind the Zoom screen and kind of ignore, we got kids in the background, and you probably have parents you have to take care of, and there's a pandemic raging, and maybe the husband lost a job, whatever, right? I can't ignore that. I can't ignore that as a human. I sure as hell can't ignore that as a head of HR. I can say, you know what? I'm going to be proactive, and I'm going to give you a guide that you can use to make your life tangibly better right now.
Yes.
And probably a lot of other points that are not just related to work, right? So for me, it's what I call total learning and development. It means everything that I can possibly do to provide my the employees in the companies that are my clients, I want to give them that kind of maximal exposure to all of these things that, thank God, I've been fortunate to be exposed to, whether that's the science, ways to think, ways to speak, ways to deal with other people, how to treat their body, right? And what kinds of mental models to adopt in order to clear the junk, because we all have a lot of junk in our proverbial house up here. And then beyond that, you need some connection to something greater, and no, a corporate mission statement won't quite do, right? So whatever your relationship is with God or the universe, or whatever your conception of that, right? There has to be something greater than yourself. There has to be some explanation for why, good and all people suffer and have to go through trauma and all kinds of terrible things, right? So that we can emerge and ultimately help others and pay it forward. But most people, they're just say, why? Like, what do you, if they believe in God, right? Why me? What do you want? What do you want me to learn? But they just ask it in exasperation. At some point, you have to stop doing that out of exasperation and just say, okay, I accept it. I get it that I have to go through this, unfortunately. But what am I meant to learn? Truly, what are the lessons that I'm meant to learn? And when I made that shift from like exasperation, just switch from that because of faith, because I become more religiously observant over time, and I've kind of seen faith expressed in all parts of my life. I just started asking, actually, like, okay, God, what am I meant to learn? Why am I meant to be here in this particular moment with these particular people? And if one of my values is, it's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath for non-doctors, I call it. It's in the book as well, right? I want to make sure that every single person that I come across, I don't care if it's 1 second that I'm exposed to them or I'm talking to them for hours and years, I want to make sure that I at least do no harm. I at least don't lead the blind, across a stumbling block, right? And ideally, again, thank God I've been truly blessed, even though I've had all this, ups and downs and adventures galore and all that stuff, good and bad, and very traumatic. I've been fortunate to make some sense of it, to understand how a lot of things work, to create all these different maps, plus create a roadmap for how to create behavioral change, and ultimately I don't take this as anything but a massive blessing. For whatever reason, God chose me to bring this down into the world to share with other people. That's my mission. So,
and that's what got us in contact. That's why we bonded as well, because we both have that same thought processes. If all of this, it's not a why me anymore. It's why not me, basically, because apparently everything that's coming my way, I'm equipped to handle it. And so if I'm equipped, what tools do I have, and what do I need to pull out so that other people can get these tools also? And so that's what bonded us that very first time we met was, I'm not a victim of this. This is kind of a challenge. What do I have? Apparently I must have something. I just don't realize it yet. And then we found it. And so that's why when you wrote the book, I got excited and said, hey, I want in on that, because I know there are tools that I haven't realized that I have yet that you already know you have. And that's where I thought that book was so important, because I believe that God gives us all what we need. It's there. And we have to open our eyes to realize that we have whatever comes our way. Whatever comes our way, we've got it. We just have to figure it out on our own. And when I saw you write the book, I went, there's been a lot of challenges happening in my life lately. I wonder what Yuri knows that I don't know yet. And I'm serious. That's why I asked for the book. I asked to be part of that process, because I knew that things were happening in my life, that you have crossed that bridge already, and I needed your advice without asking your advice.
I appreciate it. I love your stuff and your story and how it helps people and how it informs me, because I'm always, what is my point here? I'm always trying to learn something from every person.
Yes.
Right. It's even if someone seems to intent on, I don't know, harming me, God forbid, I still have something to learn, for good, for bad, usually for both. Because very few people are perfect saints, right? I'll be the first to tell you, I'm certainly anything but a perfect saint. But I'm here to learn and absorb and integrate and ultimately to give over to my clients. Again, it could be a random stranger, straight up. I could be in the street. If we're in normal times and we can smile to each other, that already is an exchange of information. It's an exchange of signals. Body language is 80% of communication.
Huge. Yes, huge.
Right? So just that alone, I can bring something very simple but powerful into someone's world. Not because I'm a saint. I'm not trying to be a saint. I want to do no harm. I want to do no harm.
You're a contributor. That's what it is. You contribute. And I think really that's the power in you in me, in everybody, and in your books, I mean, it's just giving back. Share what you know. Share what you learned, because somebody, no matter how small that lesson is that you've learned and you're thinking, it's not a big deal, I don't need it anymore. Someone else needs that lesson. It's a big one for them. And so that's why I'm a big proponent of, doing these, live streams and podcasts and things like that, because I believe the more we share our knowledge and our background, people will pick up pieces that they don't realize they need until they hear it. And that's why I wanted you on the show, but too, that's the other reason I wanted you to talk about your book and what you do and your background, because so many people, there are people out there who are like, well, no one understands me. I'm an immigrant and, I've come this and I've done that and these bad things have happened to me. And this is why I'm the way I am now. Well, you just met Yuri and he did not what you did. You see what I mean? So learn from other people. It doesn't matter if they're on TV, if they're on a radio show, on a podcast, if they're in a book, wherever it is, observe people. Yuri and I are people watchers. It's what we do.
Yep.
We watch people. We scientifically watch people. It's almost like a petri dish, because I want to study why they do what they do.
Yep.
And then I watch how they do what they do. And you do the same thing, because in your book, you explain it.
Yep.
Watching people is a skill that most people don't take as much of a skill. It is probably the most important skill you can ever have, because if you can't read people, you don't know yourself.
It's a two-way street. It's lots of feedback. If it's a virtuous cycle, you're in great shape. If it's a vicious cycle, you got to reverse it.
Exactly. Oh, hi, Anna. Thanks for joining the live stream. For those of you who are watching live stream, I have to interject. Please share the live stream, because it's our social media world. People love live streams. If you wait for the replay, no one's going to watch it. So please share. And if you're watching and you're like, oh my goodness, this Yuri guy is really cool, share it and then tag a friend, okay? Because this is what it's all about. It's sharing knowledge and expanding beyond our own spheres so that people can be the best versions of them and be unapologetic, and they can go out and find the book, be your own commander-in-chief, to learn to lead their lives from no matter what point you are at the moment.
And one other thing I wanted to mention just briefly, I had this conversation recently with a client of mine. So she's a Black Latina woman going into investment banking, just finishing a business school. So she's an incredible person. She's very understated. When you go into finance, you kind of have to put yourself in, I have to look and sound like everyone. But of course, if you're a Black Latina woman in investment banking, you don't look or sound anything like, most of the white guys running around. So I told her, I said, look, I had only 3 sessions with her. I'm like, you have to understand the power of your story and what you bring. This is not you trying to fit into some mold, because it's probably not going to work anyway. Embrace who you are. You're an immigrant, right? She grew up between Venezuela and Trinidad. And she came to the U.S., did her bachelor's here, got a master's. She worked for a while. Then she went to business school at Duke. She has her own house. She owns a house in Queens. She's by herself in this country, right? She's an immigrant and all that. I'm like, do you have any idea, like, just how powerful your story is? Like, how many people will look at your story and say, wow, there's someone that looks like me, sounds like me, came from nothing and ended up in this place. And she's only getting started. She's only in, her mid 20s. Oh, am I too old for investment banking? Are you joking? It's not about investment banking, right? It's a new platform. Run with it. Use your platform for good. Do your nonprofit, do your coaching, mentoring, whatever. Run with it. Grab onto it. Be your fullest self, because the power in that story is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just as an example.
Good advice. Well, and that's the thing, is people belittle themselves for where they see themselves at. And what I always say is, you've got to see your world as where you are now. See if I do it backwards. Where you are now, where you want to be. The fear is in the gap where you can't see it. What you need to do is see the end now. So you're in it now. You're just waiting for it to catch up with you. And that is how you get to your goals. That's how you break through the limiting belief that you can't have it or that you're not good enough, because you're already there. And it takes a lot more to describe that, you know that, Yuri, but it's really, that's the thing, is stop seeing what you can't. Imagine where you are, like a kid can do. Imagine what you want and see it. Because if you let that little voice in your head say, you're just this, oh, you're just that, it will hold you back. And you've got to get past it and realize, you've got to get your brain to realize that it can go forward without you or with you. You got to move it.
You got to move it. That's for sure. Any which way, you got to move it.
Yeah. Anna wants to know if your book is available in the Philippines. It should be on Amazon, so the Kindle should be able to be downloaded, right?
I can't say for sure. I haven't checked the Filipino Amazon site, but in theory it should be available.
It should be. Yeah, look it up, Anna. Look it up and be your own commander-in-chief. You should be able to get it, at least on Kindle, I would think. I
mean, worst case, you're welcome to look up my newsletter. I shared quite a few free chapters there. I think either 7 or 8, and maybe more. So it's commanderinchief.substack.com. Just one word, no dashes, no dots. Commanderinchief.substack.com. Look through the newsletters and just look through the sample chapters.
But if they go to Yuri.com, your name, they go to your website.
Yeah, yurikruman.com/book, but it's going to have a link to Amazon. So it's,
okay.
The hardcover will be out, God willing, in June. So it's going to be this monster of a book that you, you have on your coffee table, and you're like thinking, what should I do? Well, let me see what this guy says. Maybe he has something useful. Okay, all right, well, I'll try that.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I really enjoyed reading it. And my husband's like, man, you read through that fast. It was an easy read. He's like, you're a strange woman.
Michelle, I'm really impressed. I'm impressed for many reasons with you and everything you do. But if you say that my book is easy to read, that's awesome. That's the best validation I can get.
I had fun reading it, but I am kind of nerdy, so.
Well, but at least you liked it, and I appreciate that.
I did like it, but I am a little nerdy. So I was going through it, ooh, and I really wanted a hardback because I'm one of those people who like to put markers in the book. I like to put tabs.
It's coming.
So, because I can see tabs in the book. That's really what I needed in the book. And the other thing, I was like, he needs color-coded tabs in the book. And my husband's like, what? I do, like, for the different sections for life, people, lifestyle, and like, purple, blue. And so that when you can look, it's almost like a dictionary,
That's how it's being designed. Exactly what I asked them to do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep. Great minds think alike.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, Anna, it is good to be a nerd, isn't it? But if you check out Yuri, I mean, really, the man is so much fun to read and watch. And he's got the other book, and he's got a couple other. He's got 2 other novels too, right? I mean,
yep.
He's a writer, and he does a lot of articles, so you can learn a lot from Yuri. And definitely find his book if you can get a hold of it. The Philippines, it would be phenomenal, because I got nerded out by the book.
Worst case, wait for the Russian hackers to put it up for free, right? That's how you know you've made it, because the Russian hackers, they're at it, and they're doing their stuff.
No, let's not do that. But
preferably not. But
let's not do that. But what's really cool about this is Yuri and I met on accident. I mean, I don't believe in accidents, but it was an accident. Someone's like, have you met Yuri before? I'm like, no. Oh, you need to meet Yuri. And I can't remember who said it. And then when I met you, I'm like, where have you been all my life? You're like my brother from another mother from another country. I mean,
it's a two-way street.
It's just so much fun. Okay, I have to get to our next commercial, so don't leave me, Yuri. Don't leave. And for those of you who are watching, please like and share. Bring that out. You are watching Mental Shift. My name is Michelle Mras. We'll be right back right after this commercial. Welcome back to Mental Shift. My name is Michelle Mras. We have the next lineup of our live stream shows from TNC. So they're all in Philippine time. Health is Wealth on Healthline Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Coping and Coupling, Couple Goals Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Strategize and Win in Life through Win Within Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Check out replays of The Market Leader. Your Rights, Yo Law, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Negrucio at Home, Fridays at noon. Tech U can be watched anytime on this live stream. TNC Marketplace, Fridays and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Danny Art Show, After Shift, Women at Work, COVID Stories, The Family Business, Upasang Beauty, and Fourth Project are all on replay. Also catch our originals, One Day, TNC Arena, TNC PressCon, and TNC Town Hall, Saturdays at 7 p.m., co-hosted by our TNC founders, Lloyd and Apple. Town Hall is where we talk to you, our valued audience. And it's never too late for Mental Shift. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time in the United States, Wednesdays and Fridays at 9:30 a.m. in the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining me. For more upcoming shows, please watch and follow the hashtag on hashtag TNC Now on Facebook and YouTube, and allow your passion to inspire you. And together, let's us hashtag see the new you. Now, this weekend, I am part of a retreat called the Soulful Exploration presents a 2-day virtual Soulful New You retreat. And it's this weekend. You can still sign up at the www.thesoulfulexploration.com. Catch it this weekend because it will be amazing. The other speakers that are here with me are phenomenal. And there's one woman who, her name is Jenna. She does a TEDx with music. And oh my goodness, it's just phenomenal. So please join us. Go to thesoulfulexploration.com and sign up for this weekend only. And now back to our show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So we have about 8 minutes left, Yuri. And I know you are a plethora of information and there is so much that wants to ooze out of you and I would listen to you for hours. But 8 minutes, what would you like to share with the audience? Something that you'd like them to leave with, to remember, maybe a mental shift note that you kept in your toolbox that would help them move to the next level?
I'm going to start with one of my favorite maxims, something that took me a very long time to adopt and put in practice because I grew up introverted, again, academic parents, anything but commercial, always observing, right? Always kind of under the radar. I'm kind of like the butterfly on the wall. A very, very simple thought. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So you really better ask, because a lot of the time you're going to actually get what you ask for. I don't want to bring in the Rolling Stones, but
go ahead.
Sometimes you might not get what you want, but you might get what you need. So that's a very, very, it's a very simple thing, but it's not always easy to implement. Again, I'll give you an example. My wife grew up in Morocco, right? So she's French from Nice, and then her mom remarried, and they moved to Morocco, to Casablanca. And after we got engaged, we were dating for 2 months. She said, "Here, let's move in. Here's a ring." She's like, "All right, that's all great. I'm all for it, but you got to go meet my family. You got to pass the test." I'm like, okay. Yep. So I flew to Morocco the first time, and I remember, for me, it's like, wow, this is just, all the colors, all the spices, the food. Wow. And, they kind of they do their very friendly grilling and all that stuff. Like, all right, seems like an all right dude. Okay, fine. But one of the things that I learned, we went to lots of markets, the souk. And you go to the souk and you see how, it's just the interplay of characters. They size you up like that, based on, do you know Arabic? Do you know Moroccan Arabic? Do you know French? Do you look European? Do you look American? So all of these things have an index that's attached to the price. If you're Moroccan, or my mom-in-law, Madame Elbaz, they call her, right? So she would go to the local market, and they know, okay, it's Madame Elbaz, and she knows the real price, because that's you're a local, you gotta know the real price. So it's like, I don't know, this should cost the equivalent of $1. And then I come around, and they're like, right away they see, okay,
$10.
yeah, he looks like, oh, like let's start with 50. I'm like, okay, is a $20 bill? Do you want it or not? And the guy like to like, okay, okay, wow, that worked. I was like, why did I never try that before? What the hell? What is this? Like, what? I don't know. Like, I guess the whole Jewish thing, like we're Middle Eastern, right? We're not European. We're not American. We're like straight up Middle Eastern. So all of this stuff is just sitting there. It's dormant. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is this? Like, what? That was so easy. You just like have to be clear. Like, I want to walk away, and you don't want it. Okay. Like, all right, come back. I'll give you. And eventually you settle on, I don't know, 4 or 5 times the real price, but it's not 30 times.
Yes, that's how the Philippines works too. I think it's funny.
Sure,
you have to ask. You just have to ask. And honestly, it's in our country, it's kind of an insult if you don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? It's like if you don't. Yeah, it's the same in the Muslim world, and in Israel, the same story, right? I mean, if you're in the center of the biggest city, if you're in Tel Aviv, okay, I mean, you kind of know that things are going to be vastly inflated, but just like in New York, you sort of go with it because you feel the pleasure of the experience. Like everything is luxury, even if they give you a little plastic spoon, But in the rest of the world, it's like, look, dude, are you just like are you a total moron, or like do you show signs of life?
Oh my goodness. I love traveling and haggling because it was so much fun, because it's a natural instinct for me.
Exactly.
I was laughing when you were talking about your when you had to go meet the family in Morocco, because my husband, when he wanted to marry me, he had to meet my Philippine family. And one of the things that he had to do to pass the test is he had to do a Philippine dance.
Degree of difficulty 13. Yes.
Yeah. So he had to do the bamboo sticks, and he had to dance with me without getting himself slammed into the wood. It was awesome. He was very impressive. We're married, so he apparently passed.
Well, there you go. He must be a special guy if he's married to you. That's all I need to know.
He's pretty special, right, Michael? Wherever you are. Well, anyways, so what I wanted to reinstate is Yuri's book, Be Your Own Commander-in-Chief, is out. Please find it, because it really is. He did a very good job of really condensing everything we really could have used when we got kicked out of the nest. I mean, and even for those of us who are still on our journey at 52, wondering, I wonder what I should have done with that. You can still pick up the book and learn from it. And that's what's so neat about it. And then that last bit of news he gave us was, the advice was, you got to ask. Ask, or the answer is always no. Think about the simplicity and the complexity of that. Ask, or it's always no. And think of all the things that you were afraid of to say anything about because you don't want to have the answer no. By not asking, you've already answered for yourself. So Yuri, I'm so glad we had this time together. I'm so glad you were.
Me too, Michelle. Such a pleasure always.
And I look forward to the hard copy of your book. And yes, I'm going to demand a signed version of it.
With great pleasure. Great pleasure.
You like how I demand a signed version?
It's a deal you can't refuse.
I got that habit. But anyways, and I hope that you can find some solace out of New York, because it's New York.
My solace will be in Florida next week.
Good. I'm glad you're getting to some sand and some sun.
Anything but this. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So I am so glad you came out and that you were able to join us and that your book is out. I'm so excited for you. And, keep doing all the amazing things that you do, because I'm watching. I'm watching and I'm learning.
And you too. And I'm watching your progress. I'm amazed. I'm amazed by all the things you do, including this. This is incredibly empowering.
Thank you so much. And now, my friend, my brother from another mother of another country, from another whatever. I look forward to the next time we meet. And be well. So much. Yuri, stay on the line a little bit longer. We're gonna say goodbye to everybody, and I'll talk to you in just a sec. So everyone, Thank you so much for joining us on Mental Shift today. I do appreciate you so much. If you're please like to catch the show, it's every Tuesday and Thursday night in America at 7:30 Mountain Time, and in the Philippines every Wednesday and Friday at 9:30 a.m. in the Philippines. And you can catch all the replays on the TNC Now YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you would like to be a subscriber, if you'd like to be part of the subscription process or be an advertiser on Mental Shift, please feel free to write the TNC Now admin and let them know that you are interested in being a sponsor for Mental Shift. Have a great weekend, everyone, and be well.